Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Women Who Rock with Success, a digital media source for professional and entrepreneurial women. Did you know that we can be found on Google Play, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Sam's Broadcasting, AutoCast, and more? Women Who Rock with Success airs live each Tuesday at 9 a.m. Central Time, followed by our latest brand, Women Who Rock Investigates. We handpick professional women in many areas who can provide credible information in their field to build your business and lifestyle. To learn more about us, just visit our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com.
And good morning, and welcome to the broadcast, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in. We are continuing our series and trying to perhaps make this as a quarterly option for entrepreneurs to be able to obtain tools and resources as to how you have what you need for human resources, resumes, advocacy, and additional tools that employers are looking for from you when you apply. So again, we have our special guest on the show today, and she is back with us for the third time, and it is none other than the CEO of HR Connection, Ms. Holly Noon. So welcome back to the show, Holly.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. So we're going to refresh the audience a little bit. And so for the ones that are listening that are new, we want for you to be able to share a little bit about you and what you do and what was the catapult for you to be able to venture off into the HR field.
Okay, sure. So I'm Holly Noon. I'm the owner of HR Connection, LLC. And so basically my business provides HR consulting services for individuals who are, say, looking to change, like make a career change or just applying for a job opportunity. So I provide services such as resume revision, interview prep, cover letter, and career coaching in relation to, creating that strategy to get that new job, as well as for small to medium-sized businesses, discussing employee needs, retention, potential like leadership and communication development. So I'm kind of just that one-stop shop to kind of pick your brain as it relates to employees or just expanding your business as you'll interact with people on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm. Great. That is a wonderful aspect that you have for employers to be able to get the tools and resources from your brand. So what can potential clients expect from connecting with your brand with HR Connection?
Like So it's a very personalized, one-on-one type of consultation in that, I really try to dive deep to see what's your purpose, and then what's your goal, so we really find a solution that will get you to where you need to be. I don't necessarily just give some high level information that you could have just Googled. Let's just really talk about, plan out, and work through, okay, what are you really trying to accomplish? What do you need to get there? And then, this is how I can help you get there to that goal. Whether that's, hey, let's work on this communication skill. Hey, I recommend, based on what you're telling me, maybe getting some training in this area to strengthen those skill sets. So that's kind of what they can expect when they connect with me.
Mm-hmm. So another example, I'm getting tongue, in regards to what stakeholders are looking for, and so why is it important? So take, for instance, if an applicant is going on Monster, which Monster.com and Indeed.com are the most two popular sites for individuals to be able to research for jobs and employment. So why is it important for a potential employee or a hiree to present a resume for an application?
Sure, absolutely. So that's going to be, in this case, about your 1 to 2 minute you know, opportunity to kind of introduce yourself to the employer. So it's really important that your resume sells itself, because, you know, you're not there to speak for yourself. So it's really important that what you have on paper is really representative of who you are as a professional. So make sure there's no spelling errors. Make sure when you describe your job, like really show how you've made an impact in those positions, not necessarily what you're just doing, you know. So don't just say, well, I file papers. Well, you know, like you want to say, hey, I've created a filing system, because prior to that there was, you know, no system in place, and because of that we're 90% more efficient in how we, you know, are organizing our data. So I think it's just really important that people really are mindful of, you know, how they represent themselves on paper, because that's their one chance. And nowadays, with a ton of people applying to one job posting, it's very easy, you know, not to get selected if you don't have the resume isn't all the way together.
Absolutely, I agree. So what are some of the tools that pre-employers, not pre-employers, but pre-applicants, what can they do to be able to prepare themselves? I know that HR Connection offers a ton of tools and resources. So take, for instance, if they click onto your link, what could they be able to find to be able to prepare themselves? This is in regards to a resume, and I know you just discussed about, you know, spelling, making sure that's correct, and what have you, and things like that. And sometimes, you know, employers may even look at the design of the resume and how it was submitted.
Yes. So if you were to click on my website, I offer like a resume revision. And so, you know, I have your basic package, which is, you know, you just want, you know, just to update like a Word document. And then I can get to very customizable one-page resumes, which are, you know, I make in like a graphic design program, and they're very like one page, condensed, but they stand out because, you know, I'm using nothing like super flashy, but colors, and the layout is very easy to read. And it's, you know, so instead of having like a 2-page resume, it's just one page, you look at it, and they can see everything right there in a quick glance. So they can check that out. And then also on the website, they can get career coaching, where some people, you know, they want to do it themselves. So I have no problem, you know, educating them on how to, you know, improve their resume, their existing resume, if they want to do it themselves.
Absolutely. You know, in regards to like when an applicant is submitting like a one sheet or something like that, as well as submitting a resume, sometimes the resume can be overly worded. They can, you know, sometimes we want to put everything on the resume, as such as our skills and how many certificates that we have received and how many goals we have accomplished. Let the audience know how important it is, because, you know, we're living in a time now where people are just really looking to ascertain information really quick. They're not looking to sit there and study an application for like they're reading a book or something for 5 or 6 minutes. They're looking for the main details. So share with the listeners how important it is to be specific and on point as to what they put on their resumes.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So most nowadays, with, you know, a ton of people flooding a job posting, they don't have time to just read storybooks. So it's just really important that you look at the job. You look at the job posting. What is relevant from your resume to the job posting, and put that on your resume. So if it says it needs a bachelor's, okay, put that you have a bachelor's. If it says you need to have, you know, 10 years of project management experience, make sure that's visible on your resume. And yes, while you may have like other certifications, you know, that's something to speak to once you get the interview. But if you want to just get the, you know, but first we need to get the interview. So it's really important that you're succinct and you just put like what's in the posting, because that's what nowadays these computers are scanning for. If they don't see those keywords, they'll overlook it. and sometimes you put too much wording, it might not even catch the keywords because it's just got so much going on. And so sometimes I have to tell people, I've gotten like 5-page resumes, like, okay, guys, we got to break this down. Like, I know you want to put everything and anything you've done in your job, but they don't need to know you know how to use a fax machine. I think, at a certain point in your professional career, I think some things are assumed like you should know how to do. It's particularly if you're applying for like a management position or a more experienced professional position, just put what's relevant. And, once you get the interview, if you want to add some things back into your resume, you can do that. If you say, hey, I got these awards, and if you want to add those back, because then you're one-on-one with the interviewer, so then that's when I say add those kind of things back on. Not too much, but, if you want them to know, just in case.
Absolutely. And something that you touched on a little bit, in regards to, management positions that individuals are perhaps maybe applying for when it comes to job positioning or job searching. How important does communication play a role with that? Because, okay, so take, for instance, sometimes an individual perhaps may be trying to apply for an architect, but they don't have good communication skills and terminology. So how important does that play a role when it comes to the individual is actually sitting down at the actual interview, and some of their terminology is out of weight or it's out of term, and they're not responding to the information correctly?
Oh, it's extremely important. And that's why, like, for when I do offer interview prep, but I always say, like, watch videos, like, on YouTube or Google search, just, like, how you should be answering certain questions and what terminology you should be using for the types of positions you're applying for, because how you come across is extremely important. They want someone who's confident, knows what they're talking about. And while, like, on paper, that might be great, but if you can't communicate that verbally, then it makes them concerned. Like, okay, well, you're going to be interacting with people, you're representing the company. Are you going to represent us in the best light? So I always say, like, brush up on those skills to make sure you're, current with the industry and what you're applying for.
Absolutely, I agree. When it comes to YouTube, it's a very, very noisy platform, but it's also a very, very good asset and tool just for anything, just for business, lifestyle, or do-it-yourself fix-up, or whatever it may be. Yes. And so that was great, a great key factor that you shared in regards to that the applicant can be able to go to YouTube and watch some videos, get yourself prepared, and what have you for your upcoming debut because sometimes some employers can be very, very strong in their questioning. Yeah. And I think I may have shared on a previous broadcast with you and I in regards to a management position that I had before, and that the questioning was so high tech and things. I knew that I did not get that job, and this was back in the 90s. So, it's important that we prepare ourselves very ethically before we step into the ballroom of trying to get that managerial or professional or corporate America job that we are seeking. So, I just wanted to point that out. I think YouTube is very, very helpful and to be able to help individuals to be able to search out good key information. So what are some thumb rules that as to an entrepreneur would need as a HR mentor? Because sometimes people look for mentors, such as yourself. You would be considered as like a coach. You mentor pre-applicants, training them, designing them, structuring them in the way that they need, tools that they need to be able to be successful for that interview. So what are some of the thumb rules that you would like to share as to why an entrepreneur would need an HR coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So for businesses that I've consulted with in the past, we will touch on things such as, we talk about goals. Like, what is the goal of your company? Is it to stay small, like just, you're the only owner, or do you plan to expand? And so I might consult them with, okay, let's talk about recruitment. What does it look like when you have employees? And then just talking about when they come on board, okay, do you need and I'll just remind them, these are the things, these are HR best practices when it comes to hiring. You should have an orientation. So we'll talk about that. Also, we talk about an HR person comes into play when we talk about leadership. We talk what's your leadership style as an owner, how are you coming off, as you brand yourself. Also, we talk, and a part of that is the communication development. So people always ask me to help them with communication. Hey, do you like my flyer? Or hey, I'm trying to say this. Is this coming off how I think it sounds or want it to sound? And so I've helped coach a few people kind of, they have these great ideas, but sometimes they don't know how to express them in a written communication or verbally. And so I've helped guide them to kind of say, okay, this is when we just talk about basic human interaction and you're trying to sell somebody on something, just the importance of customer service, coaching them on that.
Absolutely. So another question would be great for the audience as to share with them about, sometimes when we research and then we connect and launch and with strategists and what have you. So share with the audience about sometimes when we reach out to individuals, everybody's coaching session will not be the same, so one size may not fit all for everybody. And so that would be a good opportunity for you to be able to share with the audience as to when pre-applicants come to your brand and searching out for tools and resources and as a mentor, a coach, and a CEO, that some things may play out differently from one pre-applicant to another. So that's, another general question that would be great for you to be able to touch on with the audience, that everybody's mentoring opportunity may not have the same results.
Right. And so from my perspective, I always ask people when they come to me, hey, what is your goal? And kind of just to align to say, okay, well, I'll say this is what I can offer and this is your goal. And then kind of through that consultation assess, am I really the best mentor for them? Because I don't definitely want to waste anyone's time. And I want, obviously, their time to be productive, and I want them to reach their goals. So it's definitely asking, what's your goal? What are you trying to accomplish? And then kind of in that conversation, we're strategizing, what that would look like. And sometimes through that conversation, in that question and answer session, you might realize, I think this person needs this, and then obviously referring them to somebody else if necessary. But I think it's really important for any business to kind of have, general questions ready, a template to help you assess if you could really help your client, and also be prepared to provide some samples or, recommendations of your work where people have vouched for you, just so those people can get a feel for the quality of service that you're offering. Because I know, particularly on the resume side, people will ask me, oh, I went to you because I went to somebody else, and they wouldn't give me a sample of they wouldn't show me what they've done, and they've lost out. So.
Okay, and that's, I agree with that. That is very, very important. Sometimes individuals want the B, but they don't. They leave out the A portion of it and don't have the visual aids to be able to share with the potential employer. And so the employer is like, I'm going to put this in the trash or put this resume, or either I'm going to overlook this, or I'm going to go to the next applicant to be able to see if it's a right fit for me. So that was something that you pointed out was very, very important. So in the next segment that we're going to go to, is kind of like basically like a variety of different things. And so we want to talk about temporary employment. So due to this coronavirus, there's a lot of people that are, I mean, and it's not comical, but, you know, due to the virus, a lot of individuals are having to maneuver from full-time to part-time to temporary employment. And so we want to be able to share in regards to that aspect, in which we're going to put a real key feature in this when we release this podcast today, so individuals can be able to get the search through keywords as to what they can be able to do. So we want to talk, first of all, about Susie, we'll say for an example, has had a corporate America job for the last 15 years. So now Corona, which we're not going to, you know, express that issue, but we're just going to express on the fact that Corona has now stepped in and affected her full-time presence or her corporate America presence, and now she's having to be able to find work somewhere else. So in a few terms, how could HR Connection come in and be able to help her to be successful, even though she may have a temporary status change for that particular moment?
Sure, absolutely. So HR Connection can definitely step into, you know, review what her resume is currently at, and just make sure, you know, it's up to date. Because we never know if, you know, those temporary status changes become permanent in the event, you know, someone's laid off. So I always recommend to all my clients, and I have been kind of preaching on my business, is just kind of, hey, make sure your resume is up to date as of right now, because you never know, even if it's not this quarter, potentially maybe later on in this year, companies, depending on how bad they suffer, like take a hit financially. So just make sure your resume is up to date and keep putting it out there. You know, make sure your LinkedIn profile is up to date. So I do LinkedIn profile reviews and revisions, help people get those up to date to stand out. So recruiters, when they're looking on LinkedIn, your profile gets hit. Check in with staffing agencies to see, you know, make sure you, like, update your resume and then leave the resume with them. Just say, hey, I'd like to leave my resume. And just, can you keep an eye out for jobs, like, say, in this industry? And so that way, in the event, you know, openings come up, you know, you'll be considered. So it's just all part of my business is career coaching, so giving people advice, you know, on. Perfect. That's an outstanding response.
And I'm pretty sure that would be something that, you know, that would be helpful for women and men too, if they listen to the podcast, but that would be something very, very helpful that they can be able to, branch out to, as making sure that their resumes are perhaps still, you know, polished, because sometimes it can be difficult for people to be able to, transition to something else in respective of as a temporary employment. Yeah. So, how can a full-time applicant prepare themselves as well? So we talked about that, about how the corporate America woman can be able to transition to what she needs to do is if she have to go to temporary employment. So in regards to a full-time individual that is coming out of the coronavirus crisis, and they're going into it, because now people are perhaps going to be reconsidering a lot of things, employers, as to when it comes to hiring, because, you know, you hear it so much on all of the news broadcasting stations. These are unprecedented times. So when they say unprecedented, that's, you know, uncertain. So how can that individual be able to tweak some things on their resumes as to make sure that they can, you know, I'm going in this, you know, full blast, and hopefully, you know, the things that I have on this resume is going to make sure that I actually be able to walk through the door for this opportunity.
Right. So absolutely. So basically what I have been recommending to people who've been asking me questions during this time, because I'm recommending people, if you can, there have been websites being posted that offer like free courses So I would say, in addition to updating your resume, see if there's like any free courses you can find to update your skill sets, whether that be in Excel or maybe like Adobe, just to say, okay, I'm maybe interested in staying in this field. What can I do to make myself more marketable, say as a project manager? Or if I want to transition, what free courses can I take to help me make that transition? So I was saying with this downtime, it'd be a good time to take advantage of, technical and professional certification, like certs, to obtain them, to kind of add to your resume, or just make sure if you have professional certifications, make sure they're up to date. You have all your continuing education done, since it's good in this downtime. So I would just make sure, like in other areas, that if you're keeping up with your certificates and, to make yourself relevant and still, to be able to compete in the job market.
Okay, perfect. And so we're about ready to wrap up the broadcast on today. We kind of went in and kind of shaved it down to just like a one interview podcast on today instead of the Q&A. And so what would you like to leave, Holly, with the listeners and the audience on today in regards to the retrospective of your brand and how you can be able to be a big, huge support for those that are looking and seeking and trying to re-enter the workforce field?
Yeah, so, I would just like to leave listeners that with HR Connection, I'm here just to genuinely help people reach their goals and opportunities career-wise. So just as a career coach, I'm just providing guidance and care on a very personal level. Like, I really care about you. I want to help you get where you need to be, and that's the kind of service that I provide. And so, whether you just have questions about your resume, I have no problem just answering general questions. I just want to let people know I'm here to help them in any way that I can if they have any questions. So I want people to feel free to and open to talk to me, for just, any type of quick questions and answers that they may have to kind of get through this time.
Great. I love that response. So with the last question for today for the podcast, share with the listeners any upcoming master classes that you may be offering, any book sales that you may have on, or any tours that you have, or any free optional tools or resources that you may have on your website, and share with the listeners of how they can be able to connect with you and your brand of HR Connection.
Sure. So absolutely. So right now I'm offering a low-cost online course on resumes. So it's a resume course teaching you how to update your resume, and then included in that course there's a resume template, so you can take what you've learned and kind of make a brand new updated resume. And then you can find me on www.hrconnection.llc, my website, and you can also find me on Facebook at HR Connection LLC. So you can find me there for my latest updates and posts related to HR services.
Absolutely. So, audience, you have it right there. She is willing, ready, and capable of answering all of your resume needs, your advocacy needs and resume preparation for that corporate America job, or just a position in management that you are interested in. You can be able to go to those tools and resources that she left right there for you to be able to obtain, so you can be able to have success for your future dream job, I guess I would say in parentheses. So for all upcoming events and who's going to be next on the podcast, you can go to our website at www.womenwhorockwithsuccess.com. And also we would love to announce that Holly will be a quarterly partner of Women Who Rock with Success, so you can be able to go straight to her link as well on our website. So thank you so much, Holly Noon, for being our guest today, as always.
All right, thank you so much, Diane.
Okay, have a great day.
Bye-bye.